Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the third Forum on Asian Industrial Heritage Conservation. To start the event, please welcome Gwo-Long, Director General of Bureau of Cultural Heritage, Ministry of Culture, Taiwan, to give the opening remarks.
印尼沙瓦伦多市的 Deri 市长，国际工业遗产保存委员会主席迈尔斯，英国伯明翰大学铁桥国际文化资产研究中心主任 Michael， 全球线上参与的先进嘉宾及本次参与论坛分享的专家学者们，大家好！非常欢迎各界先进的参与。本人由衷的感谢各位女士、先生对本次论坛活动的重视与支持。即便全球国际交流活动因疫情受到影响，仍在事务繁忙之际拨出时间来共襄盛举。今日大家能以线上齐聚一堂，共同为第三届亚洲产业文化资产论坛揭开序幕，实属难得且意义非凡。第三届亚洲产业文化资产论坛原定于今年7月至印尼萨瓦伦多市举行，因为受新冠肺炎疫情的影响，使得论坛活动延后并改采线上方式举行。本年度国际论坛以亚太地区产业文化资产谱系的连结为主题，希望延续2012年国际工业遗产保存委员会所发布的台北工业遗产宣言，持续的来探究发掘亚洲产业文化资产的特殊及价值，并提供亚太地区各界致力于产业文化保存与活化工作者 提供一个经验分享交流的机会。亚洲产业文化资产资讯平台于2018年创立，并在台湾的文化资产园区设置了实体空间，以推动产业文化资产相关的资讯共享、多边交流、跨国协作为目标，期望透过平台搭起亚洲区域甚至国际间共同合作保存产业文化资产的桥梁。本局持续的协助 ANIH 平台致力于产业文化资产之建设与交流工作。除了连续在2018年、2019年举办第1届、第2届亚洲产业文化资产论坛之外，也在2019年参与 ICOMOS 水文资科学委员会的催生作业。今年11月底将与荷兰文化资产局及 ICOMOS 水文化资产科学委员会筹备小组合作举办台荷水文化资产文件展活动。自从 ANIH 成立以来，要感谢产官学及各界的参与者，不吝给予鼓励支持及贡献意见。我们也希望透过更多的活动、青年人才的培训、伙伴组织等交流机会，结合更多的力量，一起为产业文化资产保存与活化而努力。这次第3届论坛活动共有来自日本、印尼、尼泊尔、印度、纽西兰、马来西亚、英国及台湾等8个国家的产业文化资产专家学者参与专题发表及座谈分享，从产业文化资产的脉络性的连结、产业文化资产的永续与挑战等议题，以及青年参与行动经验的对话等，进行跨领域的交流。期望汇集各界对产业文化资产保存相关议题的建议与回馈，让更多人从论坛中获得宝贵的经验讯息。同时也希望 ANIH 能扮演更积极的媒合角色，让更多的团体、专业者及对产业文化资产有兴趣的共同发展出合作的机会。再次感谢各位与会嘉宾的热烈参与，同时感谢本次论坛发表的专家学者及相关单位的协助，祝福大家身体健康、平安顺心。最后期待本次论坛圆满成功，谢谢各位。
Following Mr. C, please welcome Deri Asta, Mayor of Sawahlunto, Indonesia, to give the opening speech.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Ni hao, selamat sore dan salam sejahtera untuk kita semua. Yang terhormat, saya Gwo-Long, Dirjen Cagar Budaya Kementerian Kebudayaan Taiwan. Hsiao-Wei, Ketua Komite Penasihat ANIH. Kitagawa Daijiro, Manajer Institut Penelitian Kekayaan dan Kebudayaan Nasional Tokyo. Alex Ya-Ning, Profesor Media, Departemen Arsitektur, Universitas Teknologi China. Profesor Sang selaku moderator, Kai Wei Ketua ICOMOS Nepal selaku penanggap, Ibu Hasti Tarekat Ipo Wijoyo, pendiri Heritage Hands-On, Bapak Ibu peserta forum hari ini yang kami muliakan. Mengawali pengantar ini, kami mengajak kita sekalian yang hadir untuk memanjatkan puji syukur kehadirat Allah Tuhan Yang Maha Esa yang telah memberikan kesehatan dan kesempatan kepada kita untuk dapat mengikuti acara forum ANIH ketiga ini. Bapak, Ibu, dan saudara-saudari yang kami hormati, suatu kebahagiaan bagi saya menyambut kehadiran Bapak Ibu peserta forum ANIH yang ketiga, The Connection of Genealogy of Industrial Heritage in the Asia Pacific Region. Sawahlunto dengan nama Warisan Budaya Tambang Batubara Pembilin Sawahlunto baru saja berulang tahun yang pertama pada tanggal 6 Juli 2020. Pasca penetapan, kami telah melakukan implementasi manajemen plan sekaligus untuk memenuhi catatan hasil sidang yang ke-43 Komite Warisan Dunia UNESCO dengan melakukan kajian Heritage Impact Assessment, melakukan konservasi, pemugaran, pendataan, sosialisasi, dan sebagainya. Pada bulan Juli 2020, kami mengadakan serial webinar yang berfokus kepada tenaga pengajar dan umum dengan tujuan untuk membuka wawasan mengenai nilai penting dan manfaat mengelola dan melestarikan cagar budaya, khususnya pada warisan budaya tambang batubara Pembilin Sawahlunto. Bekerjasama dengan Dinas Kebudayaan Provinsi melaksanakan perayaan 1 tahun warisan budaya tambang batubara Pembilin Sawahlunto yang mengundang seluruh stakeholder yang terkait. Dikarenakan adanya pandemi yang berefek kepada perkembangan ekonomi dan pariwisata, kami mengambil peluang dengan mengadakan wisata virtual yang bekerja sama dengan Universitas Pajajaran dan Balai Pelestarian Cagar Budaya Sumatera Barat. Meskipun pandemi melanda, kami berharap masyarakat tetap memperoleh informasi akan keindahan Sawahlunto. Bekerjasama dengan Pan Sumatera Network telah mengadakan webinar dengan situs Zollverein di Essen, Jerman. Melalui webinar ini, kami saling memberikan informasi bagaimana mengelola perubahan dalam situs warisan dunia, terutama situs kota pertambangan. Lalu juga bekerja sama dengan Universitas Andalas, serta menjadi pusat penelitian bagi mahasiswa dan akademisi dari Indonesia maupun internasional. Kami melaksanakan lomba fotografi yang disponsori oleh PT Bukit Asam dan Bank Nagari dengan objek foto di seluruh atribut yang ada di warisan tambang batubara Pembilin Sawahlunto. Tujuan dari lomba fotografi ini adalah memberikan edukasi, khususnya fotografer di Sumatera Barat, mengenai atribut dan kawasan yang termasuk dalam warisan budaya tambang batubara Pembilin Sawahlunto. Bapak, Ibu, saudara-saudari yang kami hormati, awalnya forum ANIH yang ketiga ini akan dilaksanakan di Sawahlunto pada bulan Juli 2020, bertepatan dengan perayaan 1 tahun situs warisan budaya dunia tambang batubara Pembilin Sawahlunto. Namun dikarenakan adanya pandemi COVID-19 yang telah merubah tatanan hidup dan aktivitas di seluruh belahan dunia, hingga hingga akhirnya terlaksana secara daring seperti saat ini. Situasi ini dapat kita ambil hikmahnya dan tetap melakukan sesuatu yang dapat meningkatkan kerjasama antar kota, warisan industri khususnya di Asia. Bapak Ibu, saudara-saudari yang kami hormati, di akhir pengantar ini kami sebagai bagian dari jaringan industrial Heritage Asia dapat melakukan sharing pengalaman dan kerjasama dalam peningkatan sumber daya manusia, mengelola serta manfaat lainnya. Demikian beberapa hal yang dapat kami sampaikan. Semoga Tuhan Yang Maha Esa memberikan kekuatan lahir dan batin kepada kita untuk melaksanakan komitmennya dalam melindungi dan melestarikan warisan budaya untuk kesejahteraan masyarakat dan generasi yang akan datang, sesuai amanat Undang-Undang Cagar Budaya dan Konvensi Warisan Dunia UNESCO. Sekian dan terima kasih. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Please welcome the keynote speaker, Professor Hsiao-Wei, the chair of ANIH Advisory Committee. Her speech topic is Taiwan's Roots of Industrial Heritage, cornerstone of Asia-Pacific Network for Industrial Heritage.
Hello, good afternoon. Dear colleague, I'm Hsiao-Wei. It's my pleasure to be here to present the Taiwan's Roots of Industrial Heritage, cornerstone of an Asia-Pacific Network for Industrial Heritage. Currently, I'm a board member of TIKI and also chair of the advisory committee of ANIH. So we have been working on this Asia network for quite some time. Today, I have two major points I would like to share with you. The first part is about the ANIH's Asia network. How do we develop it and what's our future plan? The second part is about how to build up the cornerstone for ANIH. So we use the Taiwan's root of industrial heritage as an example, talk about the concept and also the current potential Taiwan's root of industrial heritage for you. I think most of you already know the existence of ANIH. So the ANIH is following the international tendency. Yeah. So in the international, we already have a TIKI, and also last year we have the e-commerce scientific committee on the industrial heritage. So we can see the global growing importance for the conservation of industrial heritage. So based on the idea which we proposed in year 2012, we host the first TIKI Congress in Asia in Taiwan. At that time, we proposed the idea of RE. And also at that time, we make the Taipei Declaration on the conservation of industrial heritage. We recognize that we have the need for the Asia network. It's because we have some common characters. So for example, like vanilla car and handmade industry, which is deeply related to the natural resource in Asia. The second part is about the colonization policy. Many of our Asian country has industry imported by colonizer or countries in the Western world. Yeah. So the third reason is because most of us have some compressed industrialization or process. Therefore, we have, based on this kind of common character, we should have some network to work together. So we also recognize the industrial development in Asia is very different from its counterparts in the Western. So we seek connections between us. So the original conceptual ideas from Asia Root of Industrial Heritage, ARI, which we proposed in 2012 at Tiki Congress. Then we finally realized it into Asia Network of Industrial Heritage, ANI, as a realistic practice. Yeah. So in order to set up ANI, we already worked for 3 years. ANI is established in year 2018. And because of the lack of the information and different development, so we would like to fulfill the gap to enhance the ANI network's content and also stretch the multiple cooperation. Therefore, we urgently need more countries to participate. So today we also do some demonstration in Taiwan because we want to have individual efforts from our partners. Then we can together build up this Asia network. So later I will talk about how the Taiwan's root of industrial heritage is built. And our vision, in fact, is to think about the inward and outreach. So we would like to enhance the ANI's contents and the multiple cooperation in the future. So first of all, I would like to introduce you about the Asia Network of Industrial Heritage. I think many of you already noticed that we have an ANI website. On this website, you can find out our objectives. The objectives is to promote industrial heritage value in Asia, and we also established a website for the information change and sharing. And the third part, we would like to construct a network to work together with different sectors. So the progress of ANI at this moment, we already have one office, as you can see on the screen, and we also already has an official website. And if you haven't get on the web, please go on and have a look. And we also established the advisory committee, and we issue a newsletter, bulletin, and calling for international correspondent. On the other hand, we also established our partner organizations. And this year we are going to do more, holding some more thing activity and training facilities. And we also had the first advisory committee meeting this year. So based on this work, you can see the progress. The ANI is gradually progress. Yeah. So this is our structure of organized work. And we also support some exhibition, forum, and partnership. So in the future, the ANI's work will have a regular meeting, and we are also work on the cooperation partners, and also we continue to do our publication in order to enhance our content. And on the other hand, we also established a working group based on these 4 targets: theory, interpretation, education, and inheritance, and publication and promotion, and discover and inventory. Hopefully, go through these further plans, we can make ANI's work to be more international. Okay. And as we have mentioned earlier, yeah, due to all the Asia countries has a different level of development. Therefore, we urgently need this kind of to fulfill the gap of information. So in Taiwan, we started doing this as an example. What we are doing now is we try to establish Taiwan's root of industrial heritage. The concept is actually get influence from cultural landscape. Yeah. So following the e-commerce cultural landscape convention and the Dublin principle, so the conservation of industrial heritage has explored to the contextual conservation, cultural landscape, and the serial heritage. So until 2005, we have a cultural landscape was added into the amendment of the Cultural Heritage Preservation Act. So this lead to the conservation of larger scale reuse site and root of industrial heritage. The second influence for Taiwan's root of industrial heritage is from the cultural roots. So based on the cultural root of the Council of Europe and also the Rockbit regional roots and e-commerce cultural root charter and the 2008 European root of industrial heritage, we find out our criteria and also the operational guideline. Go through this theoretical review text of important industry. It tends to be a virtual route and to close regions. And the second type is the regional route. It's an integrated strategy to promote the regional industrial heritage and cultural experience. It is more physical route. So we will explain that. So these routes are on progress. So there are 5 industry and 10 potential routes. So for example, this is one of the thin route, the route of industry of sugar industry. This is based on the diversity of sugar factory all over Taiwan, especially on the west coast. And most of them are built during the Japanese occupation time. So they introduced a new technology of sugar making refinement in Taiwan. And this bring up the industrialization of sugar industry and also lead to the Taiwan's industrialization in terms of many perspectives. Therefore, on this side, you can see there's a lot of anchor points. These are the factories which can support the idea of the root of industrial heritage. The route consists of 2 types of site, anchor point and the site of interest. Anchor point are the site with more historical and technology significance, providing high quality service for tourism. They are gateway to regional and an information center for the site of interest in the region. And site of interest, they are slightly smaller and with more general industrial value. So they are more small. And the other type is regional routes. The routes of a dynamic sugar making of Hsiao-Wei sugar factory. This ongoing production of Hsiao-Wei sugar factory and its suburban, it's a witness to the historical context and the regional development. This site also integrates with dynamic working system with connection to sugarcane field, railway, and sugar making. Therefore, it is a great potential as an industrial route. So in here you can see the thin route, which is more virtual and close region, and the regional route, which is more physical. We also have other regional routes, such as coal mining industry in Shifen and Pingxi. So along this coal mining railway, there are many sites and mining sites on this one. So this already has several museums, such as Taiwan Coal Mining Museum and Hodong Coal Mine Ecological Park. It's already a ready-made regional route. On the other hand, we have a regional route on the forestry. So the route of Alisan Forest Railway. This railway, 72 kilometers, start from 30 meters up to the 2,450 meters. So along this way, it's also a physical way to demonstrate the forestry in Taiwan. And not only those, we also have some other potential routes, such as salt and so on. And all of this, we hope by this serial heritage of a cultural roots can help to promote the value of industrial heritage and generate the economic values. Furthermore, it can help up for the connection between countries. So finally, let's come to the vision of our ANIH. So in the future, we hope we can be more outreaching to enhance ANIH's contents and cooperation. So give an example for this potential connection of oil industry. So, for example, like the Chuhuangkeng coal mining, oil mining, it's dated in 1861, and it's get influence from American and also Japanese and also from China. Yeah, because it start with the buying the machine from American and also later on Japanese company, and after 1946, China Petroleum Cooperation from Yumen, they come and help with the support of Chuhuangkeng. And nowadays, the company CPC also has some oil field in Indonesia. So if we go trace this kind of historical roots, we actually can see to see this industry connection with abroad. For example, this is American one, and this is what we can see in Japan in terms of historical connection and technical connections. Yeah, and this is Yumen, because we have the technician from China to set up the oil industry in Chuhuangkeng. And this is a more current one from 1980. We have a mining activity in Indonesia until 2018. So by this kind of connection and research further, in the future we can expand the research and connection to other industries, such as, for example, like the coal, sugar, and forestry. So we can see each industry can have a connection to the world. So finally, what's the next steps? Yeah. So in year 2014, we have a conference based on the R.O.C proposal. At that time, we have Taiwan, Japan, China, India, and Malaysia colleagues come to join us. Yeah. And we also realize there is a need for common language data and information exchange. Therefore, we established ANIH in year 2018. Currently, we already have 11 countries are involved in the ANIH. Yeah, so for example, like we have a colleague from Nepal, Myanmar, New Zealand, Malaysia, Thailand, and Indonesia and Korea. So we are growing. Yeah. So let's work together. So currently, you can see the Taiwan's root of industrial heritage, and we hope all of our partners can also work on your industrial heritage roots and some different cases. Then we can fulfill the gap in Asia network. Then we're following the e-commerce and Tiki and Aries operation guide, and this could be an important industrial heritage network to illustrate the development of industrial heritage and build up the connection among Asia. So we hope through this new dimension of a conservation policy of industrial heritage, they can become a showcase for industrial heritage, connecting site, history, memory, production techniques, and the modern life in Asia and globally. And also, this route can generate some more tourism development and local economy. So this is our goal, and this is our effort. Okay, so let's work together. And we look forward for your participation to join us and build up our database to fulfill the ANIH network and some further practical cooperation on site in the near future. Thank you very much.
After Professor Lin, please welcome Dr. Kitagawa Daijiro, Investigator of Cultural Resources Utilization Division, Agency for Cultural Affairs, Government of Japan. The speech topic is the common features of heritage of industrial modernization in Asia, a case study of construction technology.
皆さんこんにちは。本日はアジア産業遺産保存の第3回フォーラムで講演するという貴重な機会を与えていただき誠にありがとうございます。私は日本において近代の産業遺産に関する調査研究と保存活用の実務を長年行ってまいりました。 で、本日は事務局からアジアの近代化遺産の共通点という題で、講演を依頼されたわけなんですけども、正直何を話していいか迷いました。と申しますのも、アジアと一言で申しましても、そのエリアはかなり広範にわたり、また地方によって性格が異なり、近代化の状況も様々であるからです。その結果、現在残っている産業遺産も非常に多様なものとなっております。例えば、台湾における製陶工場、日本では、九州の有田にこのような陶磁器の産業遺産群が残っておりますし、インドの世界遺産に登録されているダージリンヒマラヤ鉄道、またインドネシアで近年世界遺産に登録されました炭鉱遺産と、一言で近代化遺産といっても様々なものが存在します。ただ、あえてここで共通点を挙げるとするならば、アジアにおける伝統技術がもともと存在する中で、近代になって西洋の技術が取り入れられたと。で、アジアの産業遺産の近代化というものは、この2つの要素が、混ざって出来上がったと。そういう意味では、アジアの広い地域で共通しているのではないかと思います。もちろん、この伝統と近代の2つの要素は、西洋でも全く同じ状況が存在したわけなんですけども、アジアにおいては西洋以上にこの伝統と近代のギャップが大きかったと。そしてそれを乗り越えるための苦労も多かったという点で、一つの特徴と言えるのではないかと思っております。一つのこの西洋と、伝統と西洋の近代技術が巡り合いの結果として生じたことは、この、製紙工場の例に見られますように、お互い、伝統的なものを温存しながら、それと併存するような形で西洋技術が導入されたと。写真の左のこの2枚は、日本における伝統的な製紙工場、日本では和紙と申しますけども、それの、近代における状況と、そして洋紙、西洋の、紙ですね。それの工業製品、工業化した姿、レンガを使って中に、西洋の近代的な機械を入れるというようにですね、この2つの産業が、併存するという、一つの形が、存在します。ただ、多くの場合はですね、その産業の様々なレベルに西洋の技術が浸透していったと。単に併存というわけではなくてですね、伝統の中に西洋の技術は、様々なレベルに浸透しております。先ほどの製紙工場の例においてもですね、一見、その伝統的な技術がそのまま残されているように見えますけども、様々な部分で西洋の技術が入っていて、で、近代化しております。しかし、一つ注意しなければいけないのは、それは必ずしも西洋の技術を、直輸入したわけではなくてですね、地域の事情、あるいはその産業の事情に応じて、改良されていったと。そこに、注目すべきではないかと思っております。その地域の事情というものもですね、様々なものがあるかと思いますけども、一つはその経済状況、西洋で開発された輸入品をですね、直接導入するのではなくて、それを購入する、費用がないという状況の場合には、地元の材料や、機械でそれを代替していくと、代替していくということがあるかと思います。また別の場面では、 地域の事情というものはその自然環境の違いと、それぞれのアジア各国のその自然環境に応じて改良して取り入れられると。日本においては特にその地震とか水害などの自然災害への対応が図られたということが言えると思います。その他、西洋の技術をですね、そのまま直接輸入したわけではなくて、地域の事情に応じて生産システムを改良しながら導入された例というものも存在します。本日はですね、この辺の、西洋の技術が様々なレベルで浸透しているんだけども、それを直接ではなくて、改良しながら受け入れていった状況を日本の事例を用いて説明していきたいというふうに思います。まず最初に経済状況、その輸入品ではなくてですね、地元の材料機械を利用した事例として、日本の場合はですね、この人造石という素材の開発があります。近世以前はですね、漆喰を用いてこの石積みの目地材に使っていたんですけども、近代になると西洋で開発されたセメントが使われ始めますが、当時100年以上前はですね、セメントというのは日本人にとって非常に高価なもので、大きなプロジェクトには使うことできましたけども、その地域のローカルなプロジェクトには必ずしも使えるものではなかったと。そういう中でセメントを使わずにですね、それに置き換わる商品として人造石というものが開発されました。セメントダイオードというふうに言われてますけども、その摩擦土、それは花崗岩が風化してできた土に石灰を混ぜるとですね、水中造石を塗った上に石を乗っけているというようなもので、こういったものはですね、日本の各地に建設されました。現在の目から見ればですね、セメントと比べて材料の強度は非常に低いというものなんですけども、不審にこれが壊れずにですね、残っているものが多いです。なので現在ではですね、その強さの仕組みがなぜ材料強度は弱いんだけどもこれが残っているのかというところの解明をしているところであります。2番目の例として、自然環境に応じてですね、西洋の技術を工夫しながら取り入れた例と。これは日本の水準原点といいまして、日本の標高の基準の施設であります。見た目はですね、全くこれ西洋の建築でありまして、実際最初に西洋建築を学んだ日本人建築家が設計したものになっております。その水準原点、その高さの基準の仕組みという点でもですね、西洋の技術がそのまま取り入れられていて、ここでは、ドイツのプロシアの技術が導入されたわけなんですけども、そこで実際近代測量を学んだ技術者が建設しています。この、原点を示す、板にですね、この水晶板というあまり温度によって変化しない材料を使い、また、高さが簡単に変わってしまっては、その基準が変わってしまっては困りますので、非常に緻密な花崗岩を台紙に使っていると。具体的な材料は違いますけども、似たような発想でプロシアでも水準原点が作られました。ただですね、これを断面図を見てみますと非常に興味深いんですけども、この台紙の下にはですね、実は10メーター近い基礎が入っております。コンクリートで築かれています。これはプロシアにはない仕組みなんですけども、この水準原点が作られた場所というものはですね、日本においては比較的地盤の強いところですが、やはり西洋のようにその地震のない国でですね、しかも地盤の硬いところっていうのは日本にはそういうありませんので、地盤の硬い面でありながら、なおさらに硬い面を求めてですね、10メーター掘り込んで基礎を作っていると。しかもですね、ここはその標高の高さが変わっては困りますので、毎年ですね、このような付属標石というものを 周りに設けて、それを使ってですね、その高さの監視を行っています。これは多分、西洋ではないんじゃないかと思いますけども、このような仕組みが取り入れられております。非常に慎重にやっていると。自国の自然環境に合った技術開発をしているという例でございます。次の例ですね。生産システム。これは日本の製鉄所、関営八田製鉄所ですけども、日本初の、現在の日本スチールの前身と、日本で一番大きい製鉄所の前身となる、最初は国営の製鉄所でした。この製鉄所の建設にあたってはですね、主任技術者をはじめ、計16名のドイツ人技術者が雇用されて、ドイツ技術が全面的に導入されております。今この修繕工場というのは当時のまま残っておりますけども、この、骨組みにはですね、グーテホフ・ヌング・ヒューテというですね、ドイツの鋼材メーカーの、ロールマークがそのまま残っております。ただですね、この1901年に作られた製鉄工場は、最初は失敗の例に終わりました。計画では160トンの生産量を予定してたんですけども、その半分しか生産できないと。しかも質が悪いということが判明しまして、日本政府はですね、その、責任というかですね、ということで、主任技術者を解雇して、原因の究明を図ろうとします。その結果ですね、分かったことは、この高炉の構造がドイツの材料には適していたかもしれないんですけども、日本の材料には適していなくてですね、鋼材というその、鉄くずがですね、炉漿に固結して、それが機能低下を招いているということが判明しました。ドイツで開発された高炉の使用を、そのままここでは適用されたんですけども、この材料の違いというものがあってですね、その後、その日本の材料に合った高炉の構造に改変されたというものであります。この事例が示しているのはですね、必ずしもその外国の技術をですね、先端的な外国の技術を形式的に導入すると、それは失敗するかもしれないという事例の一つかと思います。その結果ですね、単に理論だけではなくて、その地元の実情、その理論と実践を融合する重要性というものについて、日本人がここで認識を深めた例ではないかと思います。そして、この失敗を教訓として、その製鉄技術を育んでいってですね、現在の日本スチールが生まれたという事例です。地域の事情に合わせて改良しながら西洋技術を導入した3番目の事例がですね、4番目の事例がですね、この堤防の事例です。これは、河川堤防ですね。日本にはもちろんもともと堤防はあったんですけども、近代、西洋技術が取り入れられるようになって、オランダ人技術者がですね、その指導を行いですね、比較的緩い勾配であって、それを連続した堤防、延々と続く連続堤防が日本の各地に築かれていきます。その西洋的なアプローチという意味で言いますと、まずはその川が流さなくちゃいけない流量を計算して、それに合うように川幅を拡幅すると。で、これは東京の例ですけども、もともと流れていたこの川がですね、非常に街中、都市を通るということで、簡単には川幅を拡幅できないという時にはですね、こういった放水路を築いて、そちらで必要な流量を流す この発想は基本的にはだから流域においてですね、水を溢れさせることなく海まで流し出すというのが基本的な発想となっております。ただですね、その日本の気象条件を考えますと、これは年間降雨量を示した図ですが、西洋の降雨量、これは年間700ミリとありますけども、日本はその1500から2000ミリの雨が降ると。非常に多くの雨が降って、その、雨が降った後のその川の増水というものは非常に著しいものがあるということとですね、もう一つ、これは、川、ナイル川、ミシシッピー川、アマゾン川とかセーヌ川とか書いてありますけども、この、川の水源から海までの、距離ですね。川の河口からの距離を横軸にとって、その水源の標高を縦軸にとったものですけども、日本の、大きな河川をここにいくつか並べてますが、いずれもですね、非常に急流な河川であるということが見て取れるかと思います。つまり、雨が多くて、しかも急流だと。ということでですね、その水害のリスクというものは非常に高いものがある。その時にですね、先ほどの緩い勾配で作った連続した堤防がですね、どれだけ役に立つかということになるわけです。日本ではですね、やはりその堤防を連続的に作っても、やはりその増水、一気に増水しますので、それによってですね、どこかで、川の水が溢れ出てしまうという、経験を積んできたためにですね、連続堤ではなくて不連続堤というものを長年築いてきました。それはですね、この図にありますように、わざとこう、堤防を不連続に作って、で、通常はそのまま水は流れておりますけども、もし川の水が増水した時にはですね、わざとここを溢れさせて、溢れさせるんだけども、この溢れた水が、増水が引けばですね、一気にこれ戻っていくような仕組みになっています。この川よりもその周りを、高い土地になるようにしてですね、しかもその高い土地に林、水防林という木を植えてきます。なので、ここから水防林より外側にはですね、水がなるべく溢れないような仕組みになっているんですけども、ここでの発想というものはですね、わざと水を溢れ出させる手法と。これはですね、先ほどの連続堤防っていうのは水量を計算して、最後に海まで流し出すと。自然の脅威をですね、人間の力で抑え込んで、海まで水を流すということだったんですけども、ここではその水害、ある程度の越水は許して、この辺にですね、畑とか田んぼがあるんですけど、それは被害を受けるかもしれないと。しかし、危機的な水害、どこかの堤防が破れてですね、そこから水が溢れ出すと、それをまた、川に戻すというのは非常に大変なことです。なので、これは溢れた後に川を水に戻すというところまでですね、一体に考えている手法であってですね、言ってみればその越水を許容しながら致命的な水害を回避するという、現代で言いますとリスクマネジメントの発想であったわけです。連続堤を築いてですね、いくつかやはり失敗をしております。その、堤防が破れて破堤して、非常に甚大な水害を生み出すという経験を踏まえてですね、近代化から何年か経過しますと、やはりこの伝統的な技術というものが見直されていって、日本でもその近代以降であっても不連続堤っていうものは実は建設されていきます。これは富士川の支流ですけども、このように堤防が不連続で、これは近代に作られたものですけども、現存しております。 しかも興味深いことにですね、最初はその連続艇を築くように推薦した、進めた、オランダ人技術者、その一人であるデレー家という人はですね、非常に長年日本に滞在して20年、30年日本にいるんですけども、その人はいろいろ日本の自然条件を知る中でですね、やはりこの不連続艇の有効性というものを把握して、彼自身、その常願寺川の改修においてはですね、不連続艇を計画しております。ただ、単にその近代のものを再現したわけではなくて、この不連続艇の構造をより強いものにしてですね、水を跳ねる機能も与えております。これは、建設省の調査で明らかになったことですけども、1967年、68年、日本にとってはこれが近代化の重要な年ですけども、それ以降も不連続艇が築かれていったという状況がこれでわかるかと思います。このようにですね、水を、全部抑え込むのではなくてですね、突発的な増水に対しては、越水も許容するという考えはですね、現代も生きております。これは、和田弥生幹線といいまして、この、川のですね、その地下にですね、万が一の増水時のために、このような水路を作って、ここに水を流し出すような仕組みを作っております。これは日本に限らず、台湾にもあるかと思います。類はですね、これは遊水地ですね。これは鶴見川の、多目的遊水地ということで、普段はスポーツ施設、ここにスタジアムがありますけども、スポーツ施設のあるエリアですけども、もうこの鶴見川の、堤防では水を抑えきれないということになったときには、ここが一面の遊水地に変わってですね、その周辺の、市街地には水が行かないように、なっていると。これも考えてみれば、不連続艇と同じ発想で作られたものかというふうに思います。さて、アジアの近代化遺産の共通点についてということで講演してきましたが、最後にまとめをしたいと思います。まず、アジアの国々では近代化をするにあたって、様々な産業の様々なレベルで西洋の近代技術を導入し、そのおかげで目覚ましい発展を遂げることができました。しかしその一方で、西洋の技術を、自然条件や社会条件の異なるアジアにおいて盲目的に導入すれば、失敗するリスクもあったと。西洋の近代技術といってもですね、それは西洋の各国の自然条件や社会条件、歴史というローカルな事情の中で育まれたものであって、決して普遍的な存在ではないからです。それにもかかわらず、プラグマティックな対応によって失敗や困難を克服していったと。それだからこそ現在のアジア各国の発展があるのだと思います。ただ、その克服の歴史の背景にはですね、各地域で以前から経験的に培われてきた、伝統的な価値観や、手法があったのではないかと。そういうことについて、今回は日本の事例を紹介したところです。正直、この点については、他のアジアの国々でどのような対応が図られたのかということを私、具体的に知っているわけではなくてですね、あくまで推測なんですけども、きっと似たような事例があったのではないかと考えています。皆さんも ぜひ、探してみてください。そしてですね、こうした事例研究がですね、私の方で重要と考えているのは、それが単にアジアの近代化の豊かな実像を描き出すということにつながるというだけではなくて、アジアの各地域にふさわしい近代の姿とは何なのか、つまり新たな近代文明の考察につながると考えているからです。近代化の歴史を振り返ることで未来へのヒントもつかむと。皆さんのアジア産業遺産ネットワークがですね、今後もそのための中心施設として機能することに期待したいと思います。どうも今日はご清聴ありがとうございました。
The third topic speech of the day will be given by Alice Ya-Ning, Associate Professor, Department of Architecture, China University of Technology and Director of Cultural Heritage Preservation Research Center. The speech topic is Opportunities for ANIH and International Cooperation.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Alex Yan from China University of Technology, and I'm very happy to share my presentation on the opportunity for the ANIH and the global collaboration. I like to talk about on the collaboration internationalized and how ANIH can use the chance, the platform to make a collaboration with other resources all over the world. As you may know, until the 2020, there are 1,121 World Heritage Sites, and 39 of them are transboundary, a very interesting topic. And what is so-called transboundary? On the operational guideline of World Heritage Convention, they have a very concrete definition on what is so-called transboundary. That means a site maybe there are over 2 different countries or state parties. And besides that, there's another kind of the World Heritage Site, so-called serious heritage. That means not only one site, single site with significance, universal value, but also through several serious heritage site which has a very close connection, can describe a very outstanding universal value, that is so-called serious heritage, also can be conserved. And for the transboundary World Heritage Site, a very famous Silk Road, which was nominated on 2014. There are 33 sites in 3 countries. Another one is 4 years ago, a very famous architect, Le Corbusier, the outstanding contribution to the modern movement, 20C architectures. There are 17 sites of his project in 3 countries, very famous chapel and some houses. In Australia, very famous convict site. As you may know, there are more than 3,000 convict sites in 19th century, late 19th century in Australia, and 11 of them were cross different states and also in Tasmania, and they were nominated as a World Heritage Site in 2010, 11 sites. That 11 sites, their legal system, conservation system, and the management system should be collaborated as a whole. Then they can management their outstanding universal value. After that, they can be nominated as a World Heritage Site. So the collaboration within different countries, cross-boundary or serious heritage sites, the collaboration is very, very important things. Also, a very famous fortification site in France, Ubon. Also, their 12th site was nominated 2008. Another one is so-called Tiki. Of course, everybody of you can understand what is Tiki, and it's another very important NGO to conserve the industrial heritage site. And also in World Heritage Site, there are several cultural landscape or industrial heritage were on the list, such as very famous Cornish mining site. There were 10 areas in England and was nominated in 2006. Also very famous, in Japan, the Meiji Industrial Revolution site. There are 8 areas in Japan is separated in different islands and was nominated in 2015. So that means there are so many important sites they will have to can be protected not only from the culture site, but also the industrial heritage, the importance or their outstanding universal value will also be noticed by the United Nations. And another resources for the UNESCO to help to conserve the cultural heritage. As you may know, the so-called UNESCO Chair Program. It was established since 1992, and up to now there are 650 programs on the list of UNESCO Chair Program, and 80 of them they were concerning the cultures. They are also very important resources which we can collaborate with, such as very famous university, Lesmeikan University in Japan, Kyoto. The main theme of this chair program is so-called disaster risk mitigation of urban cultural heritage, as very active World Heritage UNESCO chair program university, very important. Another one is so-called risk preparedness as a theme of the UNESCO chair program, as located in very famous city, very beautiful city, KU Leuven, and also is full of influence on the how to management the risk. A new UNESCO chair program, also EU university, so-called the Cyprus University of Technology, CUT, Cyprus University of Technology, is the very unique university which has the UNESCO chair program that's on the digital cultural heritage. And that means the digital technique can help the conservation of cultural heritage, and the Cyprus University of Technology on the chair of this special topic. Those UNESCO chair program, there are 80s concerning the culture. It's a very important resources which for us to collaborate with. And also in Asia Pacific area, UNESCO has his Heritage Award annually for cultural heritage conservation. There in many different countries, in China, Hong Kong, in Vietnam, and Singapore, and many other countries, which is another very interesting network for us to working with. ICOMOS, of course, we know as the International Committee on the Monument and Site, is an NGO and help the the UNESCO to prepare to evaluate the world cultural heritage. And recently, ICOMOS is working with some other important international organizations like museum, ICOM. ICOMOS and ICOM join strongly condemn and deliberate destroy or destruction of cultural heritage. And not only that, but also the ICOMOS and ICOM now collaborate together to think about such as some projects, such as some very important monument, as well as use as a museum. Then how the conservation of this important monument is the challenge for ICOMOS and ICOM. And another interesting trend is so-called in ICOMOS and ICOM. Now they started their IUCN. They started their start their culture nature journey. That means the World Heritage Site, which was divided into culture and nature in last century, but recently they understand the culture and nature, they should collaborate together. So not only in the 2016 in IUCN Congress in Hawaii and 2017 ICOMOS Triennial General Assembly in New Delhi, the IUCN and ICOMOS, they announced they will start launch their culture nature journey collaboration together. It's very interesting topic. And as you may know, there's another very interesting and exciting news that formally the ICOMOS has not only the national committee, international members, but also they have international science committee on different topics. And on the list of the ISC, there are 28. Then a very new ISC to join the ISC family is so-called ISC-IH, is Industrial Heritage. That means the TIKI and the ICOMOS, then now they can collaborate together, focused on the industrial heritage conservation, and a new ISC was established. It's great news for us. And besides those platforms or those resources we can collaborate with, some interesting project which was also universalized, such as the SciArc Foundation. They cooperate with ICOMOS and some other NGO. They try to find 500 important cultural heritage sites and digitize them and put on the website to conserve. This is the project which SciArc cooperates with Taiwan. You can see the very important national heritage site, Lugang Longshan Temple, which was on the list of the SciArc 500 platform. And also, thanks to the Getty Conservation Institute, GCI, and World Monument Fund and ICOMOS, they launched a very important GIS platform, so-called ARCHES, which can be very easily to log in and to join to put your heritage information on this GIS platform to help us help people to understand the different sites in different countries. And we can see there's a very important traditional villages, so-called Chongling settlement in Jinmen County in Taiwan, and the information was logged into the ARCHES platform in the January of 2020. And besides, as you know, the World Monument Fund is also a very important platform resources we can working with. Now, after I introduced some important platform I understand, and now I'd like to talk about the some very important strategy which was launched by the World Heritage Center, so-called 5CS strategy. And in the beginning is 2002, there are 4C, and in the year 2007 they added one, so-called 5C. 5C is the World Heritage Center. They tried to set up an integration of the implementation of the World Heritage conservation. So the first C is the credibility, is so-called the value. The value is the content, or the authenticity and integrity, and so on, the credibility. The second is the conservation. The third is so-called capacity building. The fourth is very important, communication, not inside but a network to collaborate with. And the fifth, very important, what is the purpose for your conservation? Of course, for the community, for the general public. So the public participation is also very, very important. So together with that, there's a 5C strategy, and they working with the operational guideline of for the implementation of the World Heritage Convention. And now is the very, very important strategy for the conservation of the cultural heritage. And in Taiwan, we have our Cultural Heritage Preservation Acts since 1982, and we have revised them for several times. And the latest one is in the year 2016. And I'm happy to let you know now this conservation preservation acts to do the conservation is based on the value priority. That means the value of the cultural property, culture of monument is the most important things we like to preserve, and not only the tangible but the intangible. So how to preserve them, and through the credibility, conservation, capacity building, communication, and for the community participation, all written in the our latest Preservation Acts of Cultural Heritage 2016. Few weeks ago, the ECOMOS Pacific Region Groups has a regional meeting. The chair, Rohi, hosts this regional meeting, and there are many colleagues. They participate on August 23rd and September 20th. There are 2 times, and the collaboration is a very, very important words were discussed once and once again in this group meeting. So how to collaboration, and I suppose ANIH can play a very important role in this under this trend. The main purpose, the mission of the ANIH is communication, information sharing, and transnational collaboration. So since ANIH was established, and it grows and grows. Not only we have a platform, we have a newsletter, and now in this year, the ANIH set up 4 working groups for the conservation value building, for the education and research, for the publishing and the promotion, and the 4th working group is so-called inventory study. And this 4 working group is show what is the orientation of any would like to go, but not only in Asia Pacific area only, but also this working group, the train, should be linked with all the outside the Asia Pacific regions. So in the very beginning, we will focus on the culture, industrial heritage, but not limited to those industrial heritage, such as agricultural, as railway, water, wood, mechanical, mining. Besides that, there are many other cultural heritage we can working with the platform of ANIH. So the information network is very important, not through the four working groups, the database, the publication, the video, the gallery, and so on. We have several young generation now becoming the international correspondents, but we need more to participate. So not only in those countries, but we need more inside and outside the Asia. So the platform is for community connection, for sustainable conservation, for global collaboration. So interdisciplinary theme study is very important for us. So in the final, the ANIH is a very good platform for us, for colleagues to working with. So the ANIH platform is not only the Asia, inside the Asia, but also we can introduce the Asia to the world. And also we can bring in the
一定是老共。
不是，我们那边的同事已经跟他讲一下，还没结束。
没有关系了。
我们要回去刚刚那里吗？可以吗？应该是让老师讲。对呀，讲完了。可是他继续在背景有讲，只是我们没有切换。他有那个过去的声音。
Thank you very much. Can you hear me? Yes. My name is Asta. I'm the moderator for the discussions. And we would like to have discussions by asking some comments from experts of industrial heritage. The first comments I would welcome from Hsiao-Wei. He's the chairperson of ICOMOS Nepal. So please, Kai, could you please share your comments about the presentations that we have heard about establishment of industrial heritage network and gynecology in Asia? Please. Kai, could you please share your comments about the presentations?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you at least. I don't know the others. I hope so.
That's wonderful. So I was a bit worried about the connection.
Yeah. How is Nepal?
That I will be able to comment on.
Yes, I can hear you. At least I don't know the others. I hope so.
Let me just okay. Wonderful presentations. Thank you very much. I had I've written down lots of comments. I'll just go through some of the main points, but I think there would be a lot of things to discuss on the things that were presented. I'd just like to first of all start by mentioning that I'm, of course, from ICOMOS, Nepal, and we've been working on an inventory for the 19th and 20th century architectural, but also industrial heritage. And we've been sort of trying to figure out, you know, what is that link between that sort of 20th century architecture and the industrial side. So I think they're very close links between the two. And even though, as Alex mentioned, you know, we have different scientific committees in ICOMOS dealing with these subjects, I think a lot of it links together. And I think this is, again, something that we need to work together on. Again, this is a topic in itself to discuss, so I shall move on. In connection with some other work that I've been doing, I was very much involved in the Darjeeling Himalayan Railway, which is a World Heritage Site, the second railway to be put on. Again, a discussion on itself, and I think, again, this is also something that Paul is very much involved in with the railways there. I think, again, these are really interesting issues that can be discussed. Now, if we look at these industrial sites, I think, as was mentioned, you know, these are systems, and we cannot just look at individual points within the system. And often very linear. We have, you know, like production, you know, the raw materials being brought in, the processing of these, and then the distribution. So these are linear systems. And I think we need to understand these as linear systems. And this is, of course, interesting because very often the linear systems might be very small, you know, within a factory, but it could also be global. And I think these are the interesting aspects which we really need to look at, which was, again, explained in the presentations. I found that very interesting. We just need to keep that in mind. The other aspect which really came up and which was also mentioned by in the presentation from Japan, Daijiro-san mentioned this link between you know, the traditional modern, West, East, global, local, the scales. And I think, which was also mentioned, you know, sort of the categories of high tech, sort of the colonial, which is sort of that link of being, you know, the introduction from the West into Asia, and then the local traditional. And here the question arises, what is industrial? Especially since we look at industrialization as something that happened recently, but we had industries historically as well. And for me, it's very important because in Nepal, we didn't go through an industrialization because we were not colonized. So we have this history of industry locally. We have a bit of influence of small things coming in, you know, like we have some bridges and we have things brought in from Scotland, produced there and, you know, sort of used here, but the production itself was not here. So again, the whole definition aspect is also something very interesting that might need to be looked into more in detail of how we deal with this. But again, that interchange of knowledge and techniques throughout the globe. I mean, this is something where you know, globalization happens through this. And I think, again, the presentation from the Japanese examples, you take an idea, you improve it, and then you adapt it to the site. So you have sort of the local condition, it's not the same. So you have to adapt it. You have some failures, but then often you also have even better solutions coming out of you know, this adaptation to a new site. And I think what is really important here is to understand the stories, sort of the history, and because it's so complex and there's so many aspects coming in, so that that story is very important. And also, of course, it makes it exciting for everyone, even those who are not technically involved. If there's a story to it, then many more people are interested in it. So we look at the different scales. So we, from small industries to large factories to regional planning, infrastructure, to global linkages. And I think in connection with these different scales, and especially with the global aspect, Alex provided the information on what these global platforms are and how this all can sort of come together. We of course have sort of World Heritage. And one of the interesting ones is, of course, the Silk Road and how World Heritage had to adapt to include these kind of things. I mean, even with the DHR working on, the Darjeeling Himalayan Railway, World Heritage isn't quite adapted to it. And I think we still need to look at, how does the system really, of the concept of World Heritage need to deal with a site like a railway or, a global system. And of course, here, Alex mentioned UNESCO, ICOMOS, ICOM. We have, the others, IFLA and ICA and the Blue Shield and IUCN. And I mean, there's a whole network of international organizations working on cultural heritage with different focuses. But again, one sort of last thing that I wanted to mention is for our Asian network, how are we going to work together with, let's say, the new Scientific Committee for Industrial Heritage of ICOMOS, TICI? I think there's already, TICI was the advisory body for the World Heritage for Industrial Heritage. Now we have a scientific committee within ICOMOS. We need to work together. I think, it's not a question of us and them and, who's responsible for what. I think we need to really work together. And a lot of us are ICOMOS members, so a lot of us are TICI members, and now we are also Asian heritage, network of industrial heritage. So we have different connections within ourselves, but we need to really understand how to bring it all together and work together on this. And I think some of the comments that are made already lead towards this. But I think we need to work on communication. I think that's one of the big aspects, and bringing people together to work on this. I think the first steps have been made, in connection with our the different discussions we've had with the working groups and the different categories what we are going to look at. I think we just need to continue moving forward. I think we've done some very good work, and I think we are moving in the right direction. And I congratulate all those working to achieve this. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Kai. It helps us, I think, to have an overview about all presentations. And for other experts who join me now, Paul Mahoney from New Zealand and also Joshi from India, you are welcome to give comment later. Now, I have a questions from the audience for Professor Hsiao-Wei. One of the audience asked you, what is the most important values of industrial heritage in Taiwan? Could you please give a brief answer to that, Professor Hsiao-Wei? Welcome.
Sorry, can you repeat again? I didn't get it very well.
Yeah, the question is, what is the most important values of industrial heritage in Taiwan?
The most important values.
Yes, yeah, it's rather general questions from the audience.
Okay, I think the most important value of industrial heritage is actually lead to the development of the country and the society. For example, earlier we give example about the sugar industry. Many of the town and the development are based on this industry. So for example, like the Hsiao-Wei sugar factory, because of the sugar factory, then we start to have a town planning, accommodation, and so on. So it's very close combined with our development of the country. So I think in terms of the value, it's the foundation for a whole country's development. Yeah, and this is one hand. On the other hand, I think it's also a lot related to our common life. I mean, like normal people's life. Industrial heritage is not like this kind of very elite heritage. This is part of our life. Therefore,
Okay, so probably there's an internet problem in Taipei. Well, oh, okay, now you are on again, please. Yes, we just miss you maybe for a few seconds. You can continue now.
Okay, basically the value is part of a whole country's development, related to people's life and society's development. So it is very important for a country to worship their or cherish their industrial heritage, because you can see back how the development of the country is and how the people's life and economic has been grown. Yeah.
Okay. There is a second question, which is more related to the current situation now, because the question is, digitalization is an important issue during the outbreak of COVID-19 pandemic. What will ANIH do to cooperate with other organizations and professionals under these current global situations? So besides the speakers, I also welcome the experts here, Kai, Mosri, and Paul, to also respond to this. So what is the role of ANI in these pandemic situations related to digitalizations? So those are keywords. It might help just to think about the situation locally in your place and then see maybe what is the role that we can do as experts. Who wants to start? Professor Alex Yen, you are welcome. And Paul is welcome. Everybody is welcome, please.
Can I say something?
Yes. Yes, please, Professor Alex Yen.
Just yesterday, the ICMOS scientific committee, they have already decided their main theme for the 2023 is the heritage changes, and the main issues comes from the within the 2020 the whole world being influenced by the climate change, COVID-19, lockdown, and the cross-border. That also not only influenced the society, but also the culture. But how the culture can help to the social stability or development, also an issue being considered. So maybe we can think about it. Within the past 1 year, there is a big change all over the world. So the ICMOS also highlighted indigenous heritage, nature culture journey, heritage for climate, heritage and sustainability, and digital culture heritage. There are 5 cross borders, issues that can help us to understand how the heritage can meet the change. So maybe we can border our mind that the industrial heritage and the heritage, cultural heritage are something very similar. And I like to echo the Kai just mentioned, that we have to learn not only from the outside Asia, but how to collaborate with inside Asia is very important. And actually, there are many already existed platforms there, but we always try to develop something new or something independent. But it is okay for some special purposes. We can do it, but never forget we should collaborate together. I learned a lot from Kai. I learned a lot from Paul Mahoney and some other in some other platform. So I suppose ANIH is a platform for collaboration and to provide some services to not only input but also output to make something happen on this platform. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a very worth advice, Professor Alex Jens. The longer we work together, the more we realize how important the Asian ways to save industrial heritage. I have more questions for all speakers and commentators. It's about advocacy. Can ANIH act collectively as a positive force to campaign for specific cases in Asia? For example, where an important industrial heritage site is under threat. So probably making a database about a kind of under threat sites. Mostly probably you have started a database for industrial heritage in India. Do you have experience how you can elevate to more global cooperations? Thank you. Please, answer.
Yeah, thank you, Hasti. The experience here has been that we're still developing the inventory, but while we are doing that, there are so many sites that are under threat, and we're losing them continuously. So really the challenge is to have a convening organization, and this is also with reference to the previous question and the point that Kai raised about what are these multiple organizations going to do? You know, now we had TICI, we have ICOMOS, IAC, now we're going to have now we have ANIH. This kind of this heritage risk needs to be looked at through these organizations as a positive force to affect their preservation. And I think that's really something missing in Asia, where we are a collective, we're a bunch of individuals, but we don't have a convening body or an organization, which is quite a forceful thing. I mean, as you can see today, for example, to bring everybody together is a huge task. And if that conversation can be made possible by ANIH, then their role in the active preservation of sites in, even outside Taiwan and in countries in Asia will be very valuable. So I think we definitely must look at this as a responsibility within ANIH. And we should look at formulating a process through which we can intervene, because as individuals, we are aware and many of us are working in preservation of these sites. But how do we actually make that possible with using platforms like ANIH? These are the kind of conversations that need to be had. So there is a need, there's a gap, and there is a crucial role that ANIH is playing. And I think we need more time to develop these ideas.
Yeah. Connecting, yes, please, Kay.
Just a small comment on advocacy. I think we have to be very clear on when we get into advocacy and when we need to be the experts. And very often there's a bit of an issue, because advocacy is very often you raise an issue. And I think we need to go in with solutions. And I think that is very important, because very often we can say, oh, we need to save something, something's happening, something's endangered. But it's critical as a expert network that we come up with solutions. And the first step would be to say, yes, something is threatened, but our goal should not be just to say, have a list. We should come up with solutions and propose these to the authorities And whether we're successful or not, that's a different thing. But at least we have to come up with solutions, and then we can really, push. I think that is very important in connection, linking with advocacy. Thank you.
Yes. Paul, would you like to comment? Or, yeah.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Oh, well, that's good. So, yes, I think there is potential for ANI to have a marvelous coordination role, and like I'm involved with the organisation. I'm on the board of the organisation in New Zealand that coordinates industrial heritage, and I'm also a member of the Australian one, and the Australians are interested in this initiative, I can say. So there, I think there's a coordination role, and there's been some work towards setting up working groups on topics, and I think that's a great idea. And I think that the working groups could then help shape agendas for more meetings like this one that are on cover over time. You cover a range of specific topics, and they can be some of them could be on theory, and then some are on case studies, because you learn. Those things are hand in hand, really. You learn from both of those methods, and see some in some of the earlier meetings we've had. Some of the topics we've talked about are, communicating and promoting industrial heritage. Another one is involving youth. That's a very, very commendable. I think Taiwan's really showing the way and taking an interest in involving youth. We can learn from what you're doing there. Research into industrial heritage, the site management. That's a big part of my role here in New Zealand. Like I'm just at the moment working on an improved plan for one of our major gold mining sites here, and then we've already talked about like in India, the working on the identification of industrial heritage sites, and then setting up a database. So all of these things are examples of thematic topics. When you've got your database, working out which are the most valuable sites on that. Sustainability is a big element. Like if you can build up tourism, sustainable tourism numbers, and that really the income and the public interest help to get your projects better funded. If you can think of a future use, that really helps. And yes, if you've got a site that offers a memorable and exciting a visitor experience that people go away and talk about. So all of those, I've just run through a list of topics that the working groups could work on. They could help shape agendas, and then I mean, this technology is really working. That's why I wanted to join tonight. And I can see this being this is something I'm quite excited seeing everybody here and hearing this, making this start. So thank you.
Excellent, Paul. And excellent. And before I give the forum to Professor Hsiao-Wei, there is a comment from Miles Goldthorpe for Kay about your comment that he is agree with you. Always being negative and citing problems wins no friends or arguments. The challenge is to have solutions to propose. So that's important point that you mentioned. Now I welcome Professor Hsiao-Wei who want to respond about advocacy. Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you, Hasti. I just want to respond to what Kai said earlier. I think it's an excellent idea. And what ANIH doing now is actually we try to more down to earth to build up some website. So for example, the first things we are doing some inventory. And I'm very happy to hear that Kai already did some inventory in Nepal and Musha has done something in India. And I think we should collect all this information. So therefore we can use the ANIH website as a kind of platform to provide some classic idea. So can give solution and some proper concept about how to do in that. So this is the one first steps which ANIH try to do now. The second thing is currently we also already built up this 4 working group. So I think the 4 working group can work closely together. Maybe like Paul has been suggesting that people work together in certain different subjects. Like earlier, I have been mentioning in my presentation, like oil mining industry or coal mining industry or sugar industry. Those things are slightly more common in Asia, or as Dr. Japanese has been talking about the water heritage is also one major thing. So we can make the people together, combine with this research and make things together. Yeah. So this is what ANIH tried to do, and that's why we have this bulletin and journey. So I think in the future, gradually, all these things will be flourished. Then we can have more collaboration and project together. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Is there any comment, Professor Alex, probably, about the advocacy? No. I heard the idea about finding out the Asian ways of saving industrial heritage of Asia. All of you are familiar with the situations due to your expertise and your daily works. What are the most challenging to find Asian ways or paradigms about industrial heritage of Asia? Either from scientific ways or practical ways, because if you agree or not, the scientific books or a lot of references that we have now in the world globally mostly are from Europe or the Western countries, because they started the movement. What about references from Asia? Yes, Kay.
Just a short comment. I think one of the things that I've come across in sort of the countries I've worked in, it's a question of ownership. And I think the question with a lot of the industrial heritage is it a local, local heritage? Is it linked to the communities? And quite often, you hear comments saying, yeah, but it's not our heritage, kind of a thing. And I think we need to understand that within the context. And I think, in Nepal, we have less of an issue, but maybe, Mulshi can sort of talk about this whole colonial aspects in India and what that really means when you come to conservation. Because in the end, we always want the local communities to benefit and be involved, and sometimes it's not, they're not linked to the heritage, and I think that is sometimes a bit of a thing that we need to work on and try to examine how that is linked to the communities and how the communities can understand that as being their own heritage. I think that's one thing that I've been trying to grapple with and trying to understand.
Yes. My experience is I'm involved in the water management heritage is to explore the indigenous knowledge and indigenous practices in water management, for example. And we found out very interesting informations about it. It's very rich informations actually that outside the colonial periods. From the speakers, would you like to comment? Or the commentators, what about the indigenous industrial heritage outside the colonial aspects? Otherwise, I will read the comments from Miles again, that about the database. Shared data standards are important so that reliable comparison is possible, as well as prioritized actions. So that's the comment from Miles. So I think in Asia, besides India and other parts, a few countries, we need to encourage more actions to make a database. Maybe we can talk more about this outside these discussions. We still have a few minutes left. Could I ask Professor Hsiao-Wei and Professor Alexians to give your last words to the forum in the first sections of this third ANIH forum? Please, maybe about 1 minute. Professor Hsiao-Wei and Professor Alexian.
Okay, I just started. First of all, I have to thank Hasti for your very excellent host the meeting, and thanks all the audience and the participant and the commenter, Kai, to give a very good comment. And I suppose that we are not the only region concerning how to conserve our cultural heritage. We have a lot of friends outside these regions. So we need not only collaborate inside, but also we should share our knowledge and learn from the outside. So a platform is very important. And to the final, I would like to feedback about the database is very important. And also Miles highlight the standard. We don't have any standard, not only the cultural heritage side, but also the industrial cultural heritage. So how to prepare or revise the idea to link open data to set up our database is very important. In Europe, the Europeana project, they're already rethinking about their standard. And how about countries? So it's a big challenge. And I come from SIPA. I'm the vice president of SIPA. Also, last night, SIPA announced and also accepted by the scientific committee that we will revising our documentation, recording of cultural heritage sites principle of ICOMOS. And in that conclusion, we also mentioned we would like to invite more national committee and the International Science Committee to cooperate together, help SIPA to revising the standard of documentation. That means the database. Thank you very much.
Excellent, Professor Alexian. Now is Professor Hsiao-Wei. Please, your last comment.
Okay. All right. So thank you for everyone's participation. This has been a great opportunity to meet everyone. And I think Ani has been grown up for 3 years old now. So it's still relatively young kids. So we definitely need a lot of effort and a lot of people to feed in more information for us. So I think in the future, we'll gradually build up this database for everyone. And also on the other hand, I think currently we bring up this issue about the cultural roots of industrial heritage. I think this is the way to bring up, as Kai was mentioned earlier, about linear connection with all the different sites and the story and so on. Not only just look at the industrial heritage as a building structure. We need more story and more people to involve with that. So I hope we can continue working on that to build up with the story, and each country of Asia, we can set up our own cultural roots and go through this to find our clear identity, and which is different with the Western conservation of industrial heritage. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Hsiao-Wei. And before I close, there is an input suggestions from Malsri Joshi from India that about the decolonialism and industrial heritage. needs a new chapter of study within ANI, perhaps even a dedicated virtual sessions. So that might be an idea for the next discussions. I would remind everyone about the second sessions of the third forum of ANI at the 29th of October. So there will be a very interesting discussion, deeper and wider. So please join at the 29th of October. I would like to thank the organizations in Taipei, all the speakers, all the commentators and experts who join us today for the first sessions of the third forum. And I hope that we will continue our cooperations and keep up the good work. Yes. See you again. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.